Good evening and greetings and kingdom greetings to God Bless Africa, or should I say Riperile, Ndimadekwana, Botani, Dumelang, Sanibonani, Ausheni. I wish I could say it in Chichewa. I wish I could say this in Kiswahili. But well, this is Dr. Winichi Rumbula, the National Director of God Bless Africa, South Africa. We welcome you tonight to South Africa, to the land of Nelson Mandela, or perhaps, should I say, to the land of Cyril Ramaphosa. I welcome you all tonight, and I want to encourage everyone to tune in from wherever you are, whether you are in Tanzania, you are in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Cameroon, wherever you may be. I encourage you to sign in or to log in to God Bless Africa movement Facebook page. If you go to your search engine and search God Bless Africa movement, that's where we are, and that's where we are tuning in from tonight. And tonight I've already introduced myself, but I want to take this opportunity and acknowledge my president, Archbishop Amos Odele, the General Administrator or General Secretary of the God Bless Africa movement, Professor L.C. Mostert, and everyone who is in leadership, the leadership of the intercontinental leadership in Africa and all the regions, and also the leadership of God Bless Africa movement in South Africa and all the provinces, the 9 provinces of South Africa. I welcome you all. Tonight's discussion, rather, we will be focused on global environmental issues. Global environmental issues. And we're going to tackle these issues and also come up with the effects thereof. And not only come up with effects, but we are also going to tackle solutions, because as God Bless Africa, we are here to bring not only issues, but solutions thereof. Because we believe, as God Bless Africa, God has raised us in such a time as this for becoming a solution to the African continent. A solution for healing, a solution for unity, healing of the land. This is why we are coming from. We are taking this perspective from the healing of the continent. Hence, we need healing of the globe. Healing of the environment, because the environment also needs healing. So, without any waste of time, I want to welcome you all, and please indulge me. And at the end of this conference or discussion, you will realize what God Bless Africa is for. And I want to invite everyone to please send your solutions. In my native language, we say, where I come from in the province of Limpopo, they say Monwe muti autusi matutu, which means you cannot eat with one finger. You will not even be able to dip in your food and eat with one finger. Therefore, you need all the fingers. After this discussion, I want to invite you to send your your views. I want to invite you to send your perspective and your point of view, so that we gather all and consolidate into a paper that will be a solution from the perspective of God Bless Africa movement. Hallelujah. God Bless Africa movement on global environmental issues. So come with me as we discuss these issues. So tonight I'm going to explain how water pollution and unequal access to water impacts on trade, impacts on industry, impacts on drinking water for drinking, and impacts on just overall livelihoods of people. I'm also going to explain the relationship between poor soil, deforestation, and desertification on the environment in Africa. We are going to explain the effects also of air pollution, the effects of global warming, and and also not discuss the effects, but also come up with solutions on these issues. We need solutions. And mind you, the solutions that we should be bringing or coming up with tonight must be future generational solutions. In other words, we have to start planning now for 2050. Whether you'll be here in 2050, I don't know. I'm not sure whether I'll be here or not in 2050. But we need to start planning for years to come, so that even those that we will hand over the baton to will look at what we have done as the people of this generation and realize that we meant we meant business. We were serious about what we were doing in this planet. So thank you so much. As I am going, the theme of the conference says global environmental issues that need to be discussed, that need discussion. Global environmental issues. Now, when we talk global environmental issues, we are talking, I'm just going to summarize because I want to zoom into Africa more than going global, because if I were to go global, we are going to be lost. But if there's a saying in the English language that says charity begins at home. So we are going to begin here at home in Africa. So globally, I'm just going to give you a synopsis or an overall synopsis of what is happening globally. Number one, global environmental problems. Number one problem is pollution, the ozone layer depletion, acid rain, natural resources depletion, overpopulation, waste disposal, deforestation, and loss of biodiversity and global warming. These are on a globe. These are challenges that are faced nations globally. Research says that the UN expects world population to exceed by 2030 to exceed 8.5 billion people. Now imagine over 8.5 billion people, all of them, because we on a daily basis, I just want to touch on the issue of waste management. On a daily basis, how much by 2030, how much of waste is this globe or is the environment going to be affected? How much the effect of just one problem, just one issue, just one issue of waste management, waste disposal management, you can imagine the impact on the environment. You can imagine the impact on the planet. Mighty God. Now, what does this mean? It then means that we have to start, like I have said, we have to start planning now. Otherwise, we will find, or those people who will be living then, or rather, should I say, our children and our children's children who will be there in 2055. What kind of world are we going to leave for them if we don't start planning now, and if we don't start these discussions now? Globally, when we talk about water, safe drinking water, this is problem number 2. I'm not going to speak on food shortage and all those things. I'm just picking global. I'm just picking these 2 issues: the issue of waste management and the issue of water, access to safe drinking water. Globally, it is estimated that 844 million people lack access to safe drinking water, and 2.3 billion live without proper sanitation. And therefore, this means that as God Bless Africa movement, if we don't start looking at and applying our minds at coming with strategies that will become solutions to the world and solution globally to the world that is coming, or the world that we will leave for our children and our children's children, it's going to be disaster. Now let's help me zoom into just the continent in itself. So we are just zooming into the environmental issues that Africa is faced with, just in our continent. Just in our continent. Number one issue, which is in me, it is a heartbeat for me, because access to water for me, it's a human right. Access to water, or access to clean water, is a human right. Now we are going to tackle water pollution as a start. Water pollution in Africa and water distribution. This for me is the crux of the matter, because without water we cannot live. I always say to my grandchildren that, electricity can go, they can, we can live for 5 days without electricity, but we cannot survive 1 day without water. That's how crucial water is. Now, when we zoom into Africa, and when we check water availability in our continent, my God, you will then realize that Africa, in the whole world, in the entire world, Africa is the only continent with the longest flowing river, the Nile River. The longest river in the entire world is the Nile River. The Nile River stretches 6,650 kilometers, passing through 11 countries. Can you imagine? That's big water. I mean, really? 6,650 of kilometers of running water. This, the Nile runs through Burundi, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Sudan, South Sudan, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda and the DRC. One river. And they say that the volume of the Nile River annual flow is about 84 billion cubic meters. Can you imagine? This is the biggest river. However, distribution of water, clean water, it's always a challenge. One day I was listening to our news anchor, our African news anchor called, her name is Sophie Mukwena. And she said, she was talking about the resources in Africa. I don't want to go there on the gold and on the platinum and the copper that we have. I just want to zoom into water. And she said the water in the Nile is enough to electrify the entire region. But the problem is the wars and the corruption and the problem of leadership in the continent. Hence we find ourselves where we are today. Let us continue with the issue of water. Now, the majority of people in Africa still have, just as I mentioned, still struggle with access to water for survival. I'm not talking water for leisure. I mean just for survival. Not water for swimming pool and leisure and what. No, just for survival. If I can tell you the states, you'll be shocked. The statistics says about 66% of the population, that I mean 66%, that's over half of the people of the population of Africa do not have access to water, do not have easy access to water. And by the way, with these vast rivers, just to mention a just close to home example, here in South Africa, Gauteng, the province of Gauteng, which is like the economic hub of the land of South Africa, is a scarce water province, and yet it houses over 40 or 30%, yes, over 30% of the population of the region of the country, of the nation of South Africa, because of it being the economic hub. It is a scarce, it's a water scarce province. The water that we are using in Gauteng, in this province, we are importing water from another land. We import water from the nation of Lesotho. So in sub-Saharan Africa, access to water is inequitable. In urban areas, statistics says 90% of households, yes, they do have access to water. But what is happening in the rural areas? Now, in the rural areas, of which most of Africa or African nation comprise of rural areas and a little bit of urban areas. So it then means it translates to say that water, accessibility of water is a problem. It's a serious problem. And now, when you go to the rural areas, which most of Africa comprises, the burden of water retrieval falls on women and their girls. The women and the girls have to walk distances, long distances, carrying water on their heads. And therefore, this labor-intense chore of carrying water water from the well or from the river back home, depending on the size of the family, the women and the young girls have to make many trips to and fro to fetch water for the livelihood, water for bathing, water for laundry, for simple livelihood. And as they are going to and fro with what is happening around us, with violence, with wars, terrorism, and human trafficking, it then means that our girls and us as women in the village, in the rural areas, we are not safe. We are vulnerable to terrorists, to being abducted or kidnapped by terrorists in the process of getting water. Number 3, it then means that doing these several trips only to get water, it then means that our young girls miss on their schooling days because they have to be fetching water for their families. It then means that the women also, they are missing out on their economic activities. They cannot participate fully in the economy or in the marketplace because of the chores of getting water, or rather, let me say, because of water shortage or shortage of access to clean water. And by the way, this water, it doesn't mean that the water they are making the trips to go and get is clean. In most areas, this water is not even clean. In most areas, they are fetching water from rivers. And in the same river, you find that on top there, the kettles are drinking water, and others are doing their laundry, and others are bathing, then others are coming to fetch water for drinking. It's not healthy. Something has to be done. Something definitely have to be done. It is reported that in rural settings, fewer than 50% people have access to improved water sources. Fewer people in rural areas don't even have taps, don't even have piped waters. I don't want to touch the issue of sanitation. It's another problem. The issue of sanitization. It's another problem. I'll talk about it as I continue today. It is reported that approximately 115 people die on a daily basis from waterborne diseases and poor sanitation and drinking of contaminated water. God bless Africa. We need to apply our minds. This is a serious problem, and we are called for such a time as this to solve these kind of issues. We need to bring our heads together so that Africa can be healed and Africa can experience change. Now, when we come to the effects of this lack of water, poverty is number one. Poverty is number one. Like I mentioned, that the fact that the girls have to wake up in the morning and make many trips to go fetch water, it means that these children are deprived of their right of schooling. And in most areas in Africa, we have seen in the rural areas, these young girls get given out to marriages because the family can sustain itself. The families can sustain the girls. So they get given out to marriages, which is a thorn in our flesh. It then means that Africa's economic development cannot happen without these girls and without the women being involved. So something very drastic has to happen, and it has to happen now. Let me touch on the issue of drought. We are talking environmental issues in Africa, and I wish every African should listen to this. I want to encourage you to please send to your neighbors, share with your neighbors, share with your friends, your families, your aunts, your uncles, your in-laws. We need to hear this because as Africans, we need to come up with a solution. The problem number 2 is a problem of drought. Drought because of lack of water in the region. What are droughts? Droughts are long periods of no or little rainfall that hurt this continent. Now, when the rains do not come, it simply means that when there is drought, crops die, livestock die, and therefore poverty continues. So we've got to find a way to make the lives of the people in the rural areas better. We have to come up with. And then again, because of the drought and because of what I will touch on, climate change, when rains do come, it then becomes natural disasters, like what we are seeing or what we have seen in 2019, the hurricanes and the storms that hit Mozambique, Botswana, a bit of Swaziland, a bit of Malawi was devastated. Even Zimbabwe and Zambia were devastated because of the flooding. And not only that, the other cause of the flooding is lack of proper infrastructure, drainaging infrastructure, which need solutions from Africans. Because people who are living in these affected areas, their livelihoods are affected. And those that are poor remain poorer and poorer and poorer. Water pollution. Let me touch on water pollution. Water pollution. Many countries, oh God, many countries in Africa do not have clean water. Why? Because of water pollution. Number one, littering in our rivers, littering, wastage. I mean, this has to do with management of waste, which need to be drastically addressed in Africa. Management of sanitation, because where there is no sanitation, do you know that there are still people who are using forests for defecation, or rather, let me say, for ablution? They are still using forest for ablution because there are no sanitation systems where they live. So these are issues that need to be addressed urgently for Africa to make progress. Number two, pollution. Africa also suffers from industrial pollution, the contamination of water coming from the debris from the factories that throw their debris into our rivers. It needs to be addressed. And because they dump toxic mining chemicals onto our rivers. Where are we going to get water for drinking? This water is already scarce. Again, another issue is the issue of diseases, waterborne diseases. Like I mentioned, that water is a basic human right for health and for sanitation. And therefore, scarcity of water or the lack thereof threaten public health and lead to outbreaks of cholera, typhoid fever, and the frequency of skin and eye infections, which we see in the increase in our continent. We need to do something. Africa, we need to rise up and do something about this. We cannot continue from previous generations, it's been the same thing. It has been the same thing. I grew up in the city, and because my father came from the village, we used to visit the villages in the early 70s. But even today, I see people in the villages having to carry water on the top of their heads. This has to be changed, and we are the people to change it. Another problem, as I'm speaking about diseases, one thing that touches my heart is the death of children under the age of 2, because their parents, as their parents or grandparents, can provide clean water for them. It has to change. Something has to be done. Indeed, we need to clean up our act. We need to come to the drawing board. Now that we have outlined the issues, that this is just one issue. This is just pertaining to water. I am still coming to other issues as well. This is just water. We need to clean up our act. We need to calm down. If we have to draw up policies, we have to draw up strategies for water reticulation, for clean water distribution, let us bring our heads together so that we come up with solutions. And I believe if we can come up with solutions, that all of us, even women, even include our young people, to come up with innovative ideas on how to resolve water problems. Lack of safe water is not, I like what I've written here, it's not a nature's problem, but it is human problem, because just as I mentioned when I started, that the Nile has water enough for all of us. So we need to come up with ways and strategies how to distribute that water. We need to come up with strategies and innovation to reticulate or distribute water, funding, and logistics on how to distribute the water. Around the world, numerous individuals and organizations are working together. They are setting up, NGOs, and they're bringing up policies, which I want to challenge God Bless Africa today to be part of. Just as I mentioned, we are part of the solution in Africa. I want to touch on the issue. We are talking issues of environmental issues that affect the environment in Africa. Another issue is the issue of deforestation in Africa. As Africa's population increases, nations try and develop economically. Deforestation becomes a growing concern in Africa. As we are developing, as the population is growing, unfortunately, deforestation becomes the major problem, because we have to take out the forest to make way for development. And unfortunately, we have to. Number 2, on deforestation, it's logging. The main cause of deforestation in Africa today is commercial logging. And commercial logging, it is when we cut we cut the trees to make paper, to make furniture, to make matchsticks and whatever is used for wood, and also to make wood for fuel or for cooking. Timber in Africa is exported, and it's boosting the economy, but it's got adverse effects on our environment. They are saying, according to Environmental Paper Network, the paper that we throw each and every day accounts for approximately 640 million trees every year. 640 million trees of paper that we use on a daily basis. Population growth, I've touched on that. That is, cities are growing, most forests are becoming development areas, are becoming cities, are becoming developed for homes or for residential areas. Our rainforest is also disappearing. Statistics says that rainforest in Guinea and Cameroon is going every day. Nigeria has lost already 50% of its forest, rainforest. Where are we going? Yes, we like development, but unfortunately development comes with its after effects. Since 1990, more than 90% of African rainforest has been cut down. Since 1990 to date. These are statistics I took from, up to 2020. 90% is going towards development. Now, what are the effects? The effects of this is that number of trees are shrinking, and therefore it means that oxygen that is produced by these trees is diminishing, which then means a lot of harmful carbon dioxide is increasing in the air. It then means that as we are breathing out there, we are breathing a lot of carbon dioxide or harmful substances because we are busy cutting off our trees. Oh God. Deforestation means that about 1/4 of all medicine that people use comes from the trees. So we are also losing on natural medication because we are busy cutting the trees. So those medications that our forefathers showed us to say, if you are sick, you can just go to the forest and get this and this and mix and get healed. They're going. I don't know what will be left for our grandchildren and our children because the forest is being extinguished. It's going. Now, the other effect is that as crops grow in topsoil, the nutrient-rich layer of dirt, it's going off also. When trees are cut down, the topsoil is going. It's depleting every time. Wind and rain also come and carry away the nutrients, and therefore it then means that the soil loses its nutrients day by day as we are cutting trees. The sun bakes, it bakes and the exposed soil, and it becomes hard clay, and therefore it means we can't plant anything. We can't do farming or agricultural farming or subsistence farming in the area because of what? Of deforestation. Now, deforestation leads to what I'm about to tell you. It leads to desertification. Now, what is desertification? Desertification is the process by which the fertile land becomes desert. The fertile land becomes desert as we are busy cutting the trees. And also in South Africa, we have a problem with the burning of the bushes, burning of the trees, fire, or what we call field fires or field fires, which are caused by arson. People just go and light and light, or those who smoke would just leave their cigarettes on the floor in the field, and it burns out the entire forest. As we are burning out the entire forest, we forget that as the forest is burning, the smoke that is coming from the forest is also another environmental hazard. I will talk about air pollution just now. Now, desertification is the process whereby the fertile land becomes desert and result in drought because of inappropriate agricultural processes and deforestation. And now, what are the solutions? I said I will come up with effects and I will come up with solutions. Now, solutions to deforestation. Number one, we have to come up with rules and regulations that will govern our forests. When and how, when must there be a deforestation, or when must a person cut trees, and how? There has to be the when and how. There has to be burning of just cutting the forest or burning of the forest. We have to reduce, number three, we have to reduce consumption of paper. Consumption of paper has to be reduced. I want to challenge the Department of Education. Let us look at introducing e-learning in the schools so that we save our trees. And I want to thank God, some of the things, they work together for good. Coronavirus or the pandemic came with its effect, but the other effect on the good side is that schools are beginning to go paperless. Even now, here we are paperless. We are having a conference online. This is the way of life, and this is how we are going to save our forests. We are going to save our trees as long as we reduce the consumption of paper, and also encourage forest ownership. As Africans, let us know that the Bible says that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and He has given and He has handed over this earth to the sons of men. So we are to take ownership of this land. Ownership. When you see someone littering on the street, you must take ownership to say, hey, pick up your paper. Even us, if one person stops throwing paper through the windows of our cars and just stop throwing a plastic everywhere, one person stopping and one person encouraging another one to stop, eventually everyone will stop littering. And we are also encouraging, stop eating too much meat, because too much meat means too much livestock, and too much livestock means deforestation. So become a solution. Become a solution rather than. Now, also on desertification. I spoke about the problem of desertification. I want to talk about the effects, and then I'll tell you what the solutions are. Forests are the lungs of our planet. Trees produce oxygen for us to be able to breathe. And without oxygen, we all know the results. Now, when the forest is cut down, the humidity levels also come down, and therefore cause the remaining plants to dry out. Trees provide shade that keeps the soil humid. And if all these are compromised, it leads to imbalance in the atmospheric temperature, and therefore leading to what? To global warming or climate changes. God bless Africa. These issues are very serious. We have to take them seriously. If it is possible for us to plant trees around our yards, in our schools, in our church grounds, wherever there is space, if we can just go out on tree planting, I am telling you, we can make a lot of difference in Africa. Trees play a major role in global warming because trees utilize greenhouse gases. restoring the balance in the atmosphere. Trees also are crucial for our local water cycles as they keep on retaining the water vapor to the atmosphere. And with the clearance of trees, our health is in trouble. Solutions. We have to come up with solutions that are crucial for the Millennium Development Goals. Solutions to eradicate desertification, or to eradicate the problem of fertile land becoming desert. This means that we have to create a culture of preventive measures. If I start preventing soil erosion and soil drying and my neighbor, I teach my children, I teach my neighbors to say, let us keep the soil, let us keep the environment clean. Then we will be going somewhere. We also have to partner with other NGOs that are environmental conscious. There are NGOs, there's even lawyers for the environment. If we can partner with those, we can make a difference in Africa. The other solution, I am about to round off now. We are talking air pollution. Oh my God. Air pollution. The air that we breathe in Africa is already greatly polluted due to these reasons. Number one, primitive method of agriculture or of farming. When I visit my village, each time when they are farming, you see dust because they employ tractors to run on that dry land. As tractors are plowing, you see the dust going up. That's number one. And that dust is going into the atmosphere, and the particles of dust, they are going into our noses and we are breathing those. Combustion of wood and charcoal also releases carbon dioxide, which is a toxic pollutant in the atmosphere. Charcoal. I know in Malawi they use a lot of communities use charcoal for wood, even for cooking. Here in South Africa we use charcoal for braais, or what we call barbecue. Also, the poor supply of electricity, which then force people to use generators, fuel generators, to generate electricity. Open burn waste. We see people just burning waste everywhere. And also electronical waste, which needs to be managed also, because we cannot just throw electronical waste anyhow. There is a way of disposing of electronic waste. Carbon emissions coming from increasing vehicle volumes. It is everywhere in our continent, and it has to be resolved. Dust coming from mine dumps, it has to be solved. What are the effects? The effects are: air pollution is a significant contributor to respiratory problems. Respiratory problems, cardiovascular diseases are major contributors. Contributed to air pollution. WHO estimates that outdoor and indoor air pollution causes about 6.5 million of deaths each year. Imagine, each year. Now, what is the solution? The introduction of combustion modification technologies. That's number one. In other words, implementation of fuel gas abatement techniques, such as switching of fuel in energy-related sectors. And also, I have seen now vehicle manufacturers are slowly introducing electric vehicles. And also, the regulation on the vehicle carbon emission. That regulation has really helped in the reduction of air pollution. Companies, especially the vehicle manufacturing companies, were forced to reduce. In other words, they were forced to come up with techniques or technologies to reduce carbon dioxide emission from the vehicles. And we thank God for that. We thank God for that. And it then means that even us as individuals, we have to play our part. Stop the fires, stop burning things, and then we will also have clean air. Let us contribute as individuals towards having clean air. Now, the problem of air pollution leads to what? Leads to climate change. What is climate change? Climate change is an increasingly serious threat to Africa. Climate change. And climate change, all these issues I have been highlighting, they contribute to this problem of climate change. Deforestation, desertification, logging, all these things, air pollution, all these factors are leading to what we are facing today. Our continent is vulnerable to climate change. We know that as a continent, we live in very high climate, high temperatures. And imagine with climate change, how difficult it has become for Africans. Evidence shows that the change in temperatures has affected a lot of livelihoods in Africa. Food production, water availability, and the overall security of African people. If we do not change our attitude towards the way we treat our environment, I am telling you, we are going to face serious challenges and serious problems. Impacts on weather patterns and flooding is the most prevalent disaster in Northeast, South, even Central and Western Africa. We can see that the flooding, the changes in temperatures, the high temperatures in Africa are contributions or effects of dissertation, effects of logging, effects of air pollution. All these things we need, Africans, we need to take ownership and make this our own problem, because we cannot be waiting for America and Europe to come and solve African problems. These are African problems, and we Africans are going to resolve these issues by taking ownership of our environment, making sure that we live in environmentally, in clean environments. The onus is upon us to do this. The onus is upon us. Let us take ownership. The impact on water supply and quality resources of Africa, including drying up of rivers, melting of glaciers, and receding of body waters. It is all these problems that are coming with climate change because of deforestation. People, Africans, let us rise to the occasion. The gradual dramatic disappearance of the glaciers on Mount Kilimanjaro is a result of climate change. The impacts on agriculture and food I cannot even begin to mention because of climate change. There are foods that we cannot grow anymore because the temperatures are too high. And therefore, this affects what? It affects fruit production. What are we going to eat if we are not taking ownership of our environment? God bless Africa. Let us rise up. Let us rise up. What are the solutions as I close? Let us manage the risk. That is the risk. Let us manage the risk of climate, of our environment. We have allowed this to go on for too long. It is time we take ownership. It is time each individual. We are the change that we want to see. Each and every individual, if you want to change, stop complaining, stop sitting by the corner. Take ownership. The environment, it is your responsibility to make sure that the environment is clean. Stop littering. Stop burning fires. Let us go green. Let us go green. Let us not just throw papers. Let us try by all means to reduce paper usage. Let us come up with policies on climate change. Let us come up with adaptation strategies for the water sector. In addition, let us help. Let us all come together and let it be our problem. And when it becomes a problem, you see, the problem is if we can just change our attitude and do not make it somebody's problem and make it our own problem, as Africans, we will come with solutions. I want to challenge God bless Africa. Just as I have mentioned when I began, we all have solutions in our heads. Please write to us. You can throw whatever solutions you have on the Facebook page. Let us come up with solutions. Solutions that we will take as God bless Africa and present even to government and say, we as God bless Africa, we think if this is done, then environmental problems in Africa will be resolved. I thank you. And may God bless Africa. Nkosi sikeleli Africa. Murena buluka Africa. Mudzimu bashudupadze Africa na vatu valo. I love you all.